I really appreciate all of you joining us here, especially our great mayor, and Susan, of course, you and Gilbert too, and everyone. But I want to say welcome, and secondly, I want to just throw out a prayer and a thought to all of you out there. I hope everyone that you care about and that you love and their friends or community people, I hope you're okay. Okay is okay right now. Being okay is okay. And I pray for that. I also want to just shout out, because I know so many of the folks that are signed up and signed in here, is that you are leaders of great purpose. And right now, we all know we're in a place where there's no path. And I found that when you have leaders of great purpose, like our mayor and all of you out there leading with purpose, you will be able to find that path. Emerson is one of my great, well, he wasn't a friend, but a poet that has, and his quote is on my wall, you know, don't go where the path may lead, go where there's no path and leave a trail. No more than today, we had no say in this, but we had no path. But you as great leaders, you have great purpose inspired leaders will leave a trail for others to follow, because purpose basically is the answer. And I would God again to just commend our great mayor, leader of great purpose in times where there's no path. And in the end, we'll all have a trail, a positive trail to follow because of great leadership and great purpose. Lyndon Johnson once said, I'm President Johnson, I'm on the LBJ board, and I was listening to a recording over at the library, and it struck me as in the height of Vietnam. He basically said, and I could hear him almost crying, saying, it's easy to do the right thing. It's hard to know what the right thing is. And all of you out there, and the mayors here, and all the people with purpose in their heart, choosing the purpose path, you're doing the right thing. And sometimes it's not going to be the perfect thing. Sometimes it's not going to be the, but when you lead with purpose, you will do the right thing. And Mayor, I want to say thank you for that, all of you. So the Make It movement, real quick background. My partners and I, Steve and Tim and Judy, started the advertising agency GSDM 50 years ago at the University of Texas, whatever. Anyway, and we started it because we thought we didn't know anything about advertising or marketing. I was a government major or whatever. I don't even know if I graduated. But anyway, that's another issue, because I know that Susan would get mad if I didn't. But anyway, I did. But we always thought that marketing could be a force for good. We didn't know that at the time. We didn't say it that way, but we wanted to use marketing and as a force for good in times when we need it. And we were blessed because my 3 other partners were on the same purpose page. We wanted to volunteer, tithe our talent, whatever that was, so that we could use marketing to bring people together, not just sell products. 9/11, I was in Washington, D.C. Our client is the United States Air Force, still is. We weren't there, obviously, but the bombing is, and we were driving home, trying to get back to Austin, and we kept saying, what can we do? How can marketing be a force for good? So quickly, we got directors all over the country. They volunteered, and they went out and filmed every type of person in America saying, I'm an American, I'm an American, I'm an American. And at the end, we ended the spot with E Pluribus Unum, which was America's first tagline, basically, out of many one. And I'm an American ran more than any PSA in the history of television. And at some moment in time, it brought people together, a little moment in time where we could say we're all Americans here. When Katrina hit, I was called and got President Papa Bush, who I love, and President Bill Clinton, who I love, got them together, and we did all the PSA work for raising awareness and money for Katrina. By the way, we've got some Louisiana partners on this call. God bless you all. By the way, that day when they worked together, President Clinton and President Papa Bush, one of the family members afterwards told me that was the day that Papa Bush became the dad that Bill Clinton never had. Purpose wins, by the way. Then when Haiti happened, was called to get W and Clinton together. That was a pair. They're amazing. And we raised money and awareness. And then 2 Labor Days ago, I get a call, my daughter, Courtney Spence, too, from this guy, says, Roy, this is Bill Clinton. All the former presidents, we want to help those folks down at Harvey and Irma. And you're the only person all former presidents trust to do this. Will you do it? And I went, yes, sir. Will you do it tomorrow? Yes, sir. Will you do it in the morning? Because we take naps in the afternoon. Anyway, we had 5 former presidents in a 30-second spot. Purpose wins. And I was walking around the country literally 2 or 3 years ago thinking about what issue could we come behind as Americans before all the virus? What issue? The one thing that we could come together on that could actually make America move again and get going again and could help all people in all walks of life. I had no idea, Susan and the mayor and Gilbert, I had no idea of the massive skill shortage in America. And I started a Chamber of Commerce. I talked to unions and non-unions, apprenticeships, and everywhere I went, everyone basically said, if we could skill up America, we could actually come together on higher ground. It was sealed when Dr. Rhodes at Dawson Community College asked me to be the commencement speaker at their commencement 2 or 3 years ago. I'd never done a commencement speech to community college or even been to a commencement at community college. I don't know about the students there, their families. I don't know if I changed their lives, but my life has changed forever. And as Dr. Rhodes realized, I stayed on the stage for a long time and shook hands and hugged back when we could every one of the 1,200 graduates. And I realized they're my heroes. And I said, we're going to create something. We're going to create the Make It movement. And we're going to use marketing as a force for good to change perception and awareness and change behavior, because it's amazing what is on the ground right now. And what they don't have is marketing. So the Make It movement, I went to my good friend, Steve Rendell, who's the CEO of VF. They make North Face and Vans, but they also had purchased Dickies workwear. And he, guy, and I go on a mission that we're going to respect the dignity of all work again. And Kurt Holtz is on the line too at Dickies, and VF said, we'll help you with the Make It movement. And then I called my great new friend, Ambassador Gene Phillips and Hunter Hunt with the Hunt family. And we decided we were going to put this Make It movement together. And we launched a test back then last year, but we were going to really launch it this year, but we're going to hold off until we work through all of this stuff. But the purpose is still there. So just want to tell you about 3 things on the Make It movement. First, if we could put up that first slide, sir. Right now, this slide says what this thing is all about. Earn a skill, build a career. Not learn a skill, earn a skill, not build a job, but build a career. These are professionals. And so the idea that you can make it is built with that one idea, earn a skill and build a career. Our purpose with the Make It movement is unleash the power of purpose-inspired marketing to create awareness and perception, but mainly inspire, motivate people in America of all walks and stages of life, and now especially those who've been people who are unemployed for no fault of their own, that you can right now decide. There's an article, while you're locked down, you can start skilling up. And so this is the concept, earn a skill, build a career. Secondly, what we realized, and this is what I was stunned at, if we could take that slide down just for a second. I was going all across America, and I was going to all of these union and non-union apprenticeships, all these industries, the Chamber of Commerce, everywhere we have the infrastructure people, to help people get certified. We have the infrastructure. We have the troops on the ground. If someone goes to a community college or goes to Mike's school in Waco College, Texas State Technical, we have the infrastructure in the workforce and the chambers and all of the things. We have ground support. We need air support. And that's why the Make It movement's in there. We need to change behavior. If we could put up that slide real quick. This is what this slide will show you. What I call is the marketing flywheel. I don't plagiarize unless I have to, but I did steal this from Jim Collins, my great friend of Good to Great and Built to Last, when he talks about the flywheel. When purpose starts moving, this is marketing. You can't change behavior in a massive way until you create awareness and then change perception or reinforce perceptions. Then all of a sudden, the behavior change starts. And because we've got the infrastructure here in Central Texas, here in Texas, we're going to start this movement right here. And this flywheel, the more we can get awareness and perception change, the more we can drive substantial behavior. The final slide I want to talk about, if we could put this one up, the Make It movement can't be just another promotional thing. It is about purpose. Now more than ever before because of the virus. People of all ages and all stages of life are looking for meaning and looking for purpose. The Make It movement is going to be embedded not just in making money, but that's really important, but making things and making things happen. We're going to be about making a difference in your life's work, making a great life. We're going to inspire people, starting here in Central Texas and then moving it across Texas, then the nation. You can make a living and a great life doing what you love to do. But you got to skill up and get on with it. So that's kind of, if you could take that one down, I kind of want to wrap up and say, the Make It movement is about making it. We're going to make it through this too. Because if there's a will, there's a way, and there's a will. We're going to make it through this. And what we're going to look for, I always tell people, the great leaders like the mayor and like here on, they don't try to predict the future, they create the future, no matter how tough. Skilled labor is going to be so important. And all the community colleges and the technical colleges, they all know this, and there's no place to start the Make It movement better than Texas, because what starts here changes the world. That's a good line. Anyway, it's true though. So I want to tell you something real quick and give you some reassurance. Because you're inspired by purpose as leaders out there, purpose doesn't mitigate tragedy or chaos or confusion. It doesn't mitigate, but it is, when you have purpose in your life, it is the anchor during troubled waters. It's also the North Star when the sky is clear. This brings me to introduce my great friend, Steve Adler, the mayor of Austin, Texas. We've been great friends for a long time. Steve and Diane were our down the street neighbors for 20 years. Steve is now the mayor of this great city and doing an amazing job. And I will tell you what I love about this man. He is driven by purpose. And he is now our anchor through the troubled waters. And if we'll rally behind what he's, and the visionaries like Susan and everyone that we know, he will also be the North Star when the sky is clear. So I want to introduce my great friend, Mayor Steve Adler.
Roy, thank you. You're always so incredibly generous and such a foundational leader in this community. And just the fact that you're invested in this and helping to make this project work means to me that it's going to succeed. I mean, there are just some people we're blessed to have in this city that make things happen, and you make things happen, which is why you need to be at the core of the Make It movement. I appreciate everybody that's on this call and pushing forward in this. This is pretty surreal times that we're living in right now, and there's a lot of pain going on all around us, both physical and economic. There's also huge and new opportunities. I mean, there are families that are getting to know each other in ways that they might not have otherwise. And, I'm lucky because people keep sending me pictures of things that are going on in their homes. There is such a display of selfless and community behavior. I can remember right after we shut down South by, because we could see this cloud moving, and every time we had a conversation about not shutting down South by, because there were lots of reasons not to shut it down, and kept trying to justify not shutting it down. This cloud moving across the sky was just inescapable that it was going to get here, but we didn't know what we were facing. I can remember right after that time, Governor Cuomo coming on TV, talking about what was happening in New York. And he looked at the TV, and I felt like he was looking at me. And he said, we're going through what is going to be an incredibly painful moment. And the country is going to watch us go through this incredibly painful moment. You can see it now. And he said, but don't think about this happening to us, because this is your future in 2.5 weeks. And those were haunting words to me. And they were haunting words to me because I didn't know that they were not true. We adopted a strategy to help our community that was dependent on us getting to 93% reduction in physical interaction. I mean, in what world does that actually happen? And when we looked at the numbers, we knew that if we were less than 75%, we were in a world of hurt. So we wanted to get to 90. We were planning on 75, and we weren't sure we were going to be able to hit that. So we planned at a lower number as well. But here we are, and this community has come together in a remarkable way, and in a way that really set precedent for many other cities around the country that started doing what we were doing, and it became reinforced while it was working. All that to say, with as much investment as this community has made in the new world we're in, the new ways we see our jobs and each other and our families, shame on us if we come out of this no better than we went into this. Shame on us. We had the challenge that we identified before this started, because we could see the inequities in our region. We have a city that's grown by leaps and bounds, unemployment down 2.4 or whatever it was. A city that everybody wants to live in. We're going to double in population over the next 20, 25 years in the region. But yet we knew we had an underbelly that was not participating in that didn't know how to even begin to access that. The dangers that are most present to us today in this health crisis is that community. Because when you leave a community behind for so long, you don't have healthy food for generations, you don't have education, you don't have opportunity, you don't have access, you don't have transportation, you don't have. When something like this happens, which in a very cruel way, this virus seeks out and finds the people that we have left behind. And that becomes then the biggest threat to everyone else that is leading that race. That's where our susceptibility is. If we have an infection that overwhelms us, that's the kindling that starts the forest fire. We are joined together in ways and to see things that I'm not sure we ever saw collectively. The thought today about somebody coming to work because they're sick, because they can't afford to stay home, You know, we put that to a vote right now, everybody's going to want to pay that person to stay home and not come to work. But it was a harder argument to make when we were making that argument 8 months ago. So we have the healthcare professionals that are lined up to take us through the health crisis. But it's us. It's this movement. It's this providing economic opportunities to people that we have to deliver the same way the healthcare folks are delivering us a way out from health. We have to provide the way out for our community as concerns our economy. So we're growing by leaps and bounds. We know that 2/3 of all jobs in Texas real soon are going to require a post-secondary credential. We know that 42% of young adults today don't have that post-secondary credential. And one of the big reasons for that is there's a misperception about whether or not that path exists, or if it does exist, whether or not that path is actually for that person. Do they see themselves in that world with that opportunity? Is it something that's achievable? You know, this campaign, this Make It movement campaign, is the communications arm to the infrastructure that we've been trying to set up. You know, the county judge and I, working with Tamara, many people that are on this call, have the Master Community Workforce Plan that was on track before the virus hit to take 10,000 people out of poverty and put them into middle skill jobs. I mean, we have to get back to that. And now we know we have to even exceed that number because there's an awareness that exists today that has never existed before. I love, Roy, that chart that you had running through. That makes such intuitive sense for me. We have jobs, we have opportunities, we have futures. We have employers that are willing to put their shoulder to that work. We've been missing the connection that would change the behaviors, that would really open up the possibility and the dream for people that exist. I think that's a missing element. I think that looking at this as a movement of something that you earn, but it's achievable, that delivers promise and a career. I really like hearing it, and I like hearing it because I believe that it's going to take that kind of work for us to make real the promise that is giving people real opportunities. I want to thank everybody that's on this. You know, a specific drill down to the Central Texas economy is exactly what we need in this work. This movement is going to really drive learners and workers to the information they need in order to get the expert help to really take that first step or two down that longer journey. And when we look back at this time with this virus, I mean, let it be the time that people look back and say, that's where we made a shift. That's when we actually started realizing that we could, but we needed to solve the challenges that we came into this with. Let this be the time we look back and we say, yeah, but that was before we recognized who we were and what we needed to do. That's our challenge, and I believe we'll succeed. We have to. So thank everybody for participating.
Well, Mayor, thank you, sir. That was so well said. I think the idea, I sometimes think these things, and you're at the right place at the right moment. I know you don't sleep, and I know that it's minute by minute, but you were supposed to be here.
Thanks, Roy.
I really mean it. And I think this idea, when I kept looking at before this virus, and I was thinking of the Make It movement, I went to the mayor and told him about it and his wife. And I kept saying that, you know, we had this massive us versus them culture going on. And one moment I looked at the word USA and it had us in it. And part of what you're talking about is we move past this Let's be a better us. Because us is us. Us is USA. Let's show the United States of America what we do here in Austin. We come together, and the mayor knows too. One of my other initiatives is America's New Front Porch. We got to sit on the porch together and talk and visit, not just because of the virus, but civility. And so the mayor, I'm sorry you're having to be the mayor right now, but I'm so grateful you are. So thank you, sir. Tell your family hello too. I've got the pleasure of introducing a new friend of mine, Susan Dawson. She's awesome. And I just got to know her the last 4 or 5 months, because when she found out and their team about, and Alex and everyone about E3 and camera with the workforce, they became a confidant of mine and Ann and the whole group that's working on the Make It campaign. She's an amazing entrepreneur. She's an amazing woman looking at the whole systemic things that have to happen in education. Former chair of the Chamber of Commerce. But most of all, what I've found so amazing about Susan is as Herb Keller used to always tell me, my great friend at Southwest Airlines, who passed away a couple of years ago, he'd been his client at Southwest for 35 years. I'd say, well, Herb, what's the next step? And he'd look at me and maybe a shot of whiskey. And he'd say, taking one, son. That's the next step. Susan takes the steps, and she takes them in the right direction. So I want to introduce Susan right now. Y'all know her, a lot of you know her already.
Thank you, Roy, and thank you both, Roy and Mayor Adler, for your leadership in this time. It's especially needed. We've told you a little bit about what Make It is, and we're going to go a little deeper into the what it is, but we wanted to back up before we did that and talk a little bit about the why. And the why is embedded in one number that if you go away from this conversation this afternoon and don't remember any other numbers or statistics, I want you to remember this one, and it's 12. 12%. 12% is the likelihood that a student in Central Texas who within 6 years of leaving high school does not have a post-secondary credential will have a living wage job. If they don't have a post-secondary credential within 6 years of leaving high school, they have just a 12% opportunity of having a living wage job. And the mayor told you some of the other statistics that we're looking at already right now today. A high school diploma is not enough. 2/3 of all the jobs require some post-secondary credential today, and that's growing significantly over time. Yet just 42% of adults in Texas have a post-secondary credential, a 4-year degree, a 2-year degree, or an industry certification. And an even more alarming number is that of our low-income students, those students that Mayor Adler was talking about so often have been left behind in our community, just 14% of them are going to get that post-secondary credential within 6 years of leaving high school. And despite these numbers, these alarming numbers, we've seen college enrollment dropping. College enrollment meaning 4-year universities, 2-year community colleges, technical colleges. Consistently over the last 8 years, college enrollment is dropping despite the fact that you have just a 12% chance of having a living wage job without that credential. So why is that? We've done a lot of talking to the community, of investigating, of focus groups, surveys, trying to understand this. And we think there's 3 primary reasons. The first is that people hear the word college and they think immediately 4-year degree. And that's true. A 4-year degree is still incredibly valuable. In fact, it has the most value in terms of setting yourself up for a career if you get the right 4-year degree. But it's not the only thing out there. There are incredibly valuable opportunities in our workforce for long-range, meaningful careers with a 2-year degree or with an industry certification that has value in the marketplace. There are multiple pathways to success beyond high school, and most people don't know that. The second reason is a concern about affordability. And it's absolutely true that post-secondary credentials of any kind are far less affordable than they used to be. The price has been going up, and now we have many people without jobs to pay for that. But still, a post-secondary credential is the best return on investment you can have to set yourself up for a future career. And there are many ways that college can be affordable if you know how to fill out your financial aid forms, to get the right kind of help and coaching to be able to afford a college career, a post-secondary credential. And the third reason is that people traditionally have thought, well, that's not for me. Maybe that's somebody else who doesn't look like me, who doesn't come from my neighborhood. College is an aspiration, but it's not something for our family who's never been to college. That's not true. Anyone can access a post-secondary credential, oftentimes in high school while you're getting a high school diploma, and can move towards that associate's degree. There are multiple different ways to blend learning, but it's accessible to anyone who can get the help and support out there to need it. So post-secondary enrollment has been dropping. And in this time of the coronavirus, we expect it to drop even more. Think of our students who traditionally have graduated high school, but life hits them. And there's what we call the summer melt. They may not arrive despite their intentions at college in the fall. This year, we have the summer melt, the spring melt, the lack of access to counselors, the lack of a prom and graduation, and all of these factors that impact our students and our adults. And the opportunity to transition into higher education is going to be much more difficult than ever before.
Gilbert is also a new friend of mine, and we've been working together along with Susan and Tamara and all these other folks on this whole concept of the Make It movement. Of course, you know, he's the VP of Education and Talent for the Greater Austin Chamber of Commerce. What that means, he works with the ISD, he works with their partners, he works with their associates, trying to figure out, you know, creating these partnerships to really execute what the Chamber's education talent development thing is all about. And one of the things that I was so struck with Gilbert is his passion for what public schools can do. And they're really on it, and they really take the leadership. And again, he's going to talk to you about some things that are going on that again are driven by purpose, to make sure that we don't leave people behind it. In the process of chasing a dream, your dream, you might not even know it, is to be that welder, or your dream might want to be that veterinarian. And we got to have infrastructures and mentoring and all that stuff in the public schools and partnerships where we can find out what a kid's talent is, not just what a kid's test scores are. Where are their talents, and how can we develop them and let them live a life of doing what they love to do. So, new friend, I appreciate you, man, a lot, and I'm glad you're here. And you look swell too. You got a coat on and everything.
Thank you, Roy. Thank you, Mayor Adler, and Susan did a great job framing this. The Chamber E3 Workforce Solutions, we're excited to be part of this partnership to help shape Make It and the Make It movement here in Central Texas to develop our own homegrown talent. And you framed it in a great way because the impact that COVID has had on our economy at the state, national level, local level means that we've got to grow and skill up our talent. And this is more important than ever to help folks connect with opportunities. So just context-wise, we're not in a good situation. 22 million adults have filed for unemployment nationwide. In Texas, that's 1.3 million. Just within the last month, over 250,000 UI wage claims have been filed. And in Austin, over 25,000 unemployment claims have been filed. And it's bad news. But while some employers are laying staff off, regrettably, other employers are hiring. And that's the positive news. The Chamber has tracked just this past month over 64,000 unique job openings in the Austin area. In fact, Austin has more jobs than we have unemployed adults in our region. These jobs are in IT, in programming, in healthcare, logistics, and management, among other opportunities. But the catch is that employers are the end consumer in the talent pipeline. And ultimately, to make it in Austin and qualify for one of these jobs, you have to develop the skills to find work in our economy. And that can be skills to also start up a business. But either way, to Susan's point, it could mean a 4-year degree, it could mean a 2-year degree, it could mean a trade or industry certification, or even military experience that leads to employability. But we have 2 challenges. The first is that many of our unemployed simply lack the education and skills to compete for this job, for the open jobs, even if they wanted to. So pre-COVID, we had about, on average, 60,000 open jobs monthly. But the majority of these jobs, about 60%, required education beyond high school. That doesn't mean just a 4-year degree, it means 2-year degrees, certifications, other things. And that same percentage of unemployed lacked the skills to compete for those jobs. And Susan framed it nicely. The unemployment rate for those with a high school degree or less is double. Historically, double at the national level, local level. It's double for those that don't have a degree. And it could be a 4-year degree or a 2-year degree. Either way, if you are just graduating with a high school diploma, your chances of facing unemployment are much greater than if you go on to post-secondary, some form of college. Doesn't have to be 4-year, but at least 2-year degrees. Then you think about the recovery and look to the last Great Recession. And the Center for Education and the Workforce at Georgetown did a great analysis, and they found that of the 11.6 million jobs created after the last recession, 11.5 million of those jobs went to folks with some kind of college degree. And only 80,000 nationally went to those with a high school diploma or less. That's a big challenge. The other challenge is that Austin actually trails the national average on direct to post-secondary transition for high school students. So not only do our unemployed not possess, many of our unemployed don't possess the skills and credentials that they need, but we're also behind the national average on post-secondary transitions. We're at 63%, where the country is at 70%. And this means that not enough of our kids are transitioning, but those that don't transition and try to find work, about half of them are actually unemployed, and 90% make less than a living wage. And we know this from our partnership with the University of Texas and our local school districts, Ray Marshall Center, who are tracking graduate outcomes. So the Chamber believes, E3 believes, Workforce Solutions believe that we can do better for our economy, that we can do better for our community. But first, folks have to know how to make it in Austin. And that's what's exciting about the Make It movement as a platform to help folks answer these questions. And so we're excited to work with Roy, with Tamara, with Susan, with the City of Austin to shape the Make It movement into that kind of platform for Austin. And the good news is that we're not starting from scratch. We've got a partnership. Chamber is already working with schools, many partners that are actually on this webinar via our DTC 70 initiative. That's our direct to college initiative aiming to boost up our post-secondary transition straight out of high school. And so we're working with school districts to provide direct support and actionable data with our research partners at UT to ensure that counselors are getting the information they need to help students. One example that we're excited to launch this past week was a COVID and college career impact survey with Austin ISD. We just launched it on Friday. And the purpose of that survey is to identify how COVID has impacted family situations in terms of employment and how that has parlayed into their plans for post-secondary transition. And the hope is that we can take that information, use our partnership with our school districts, leverage the data that we have to connect this information directly, put it in the hands of counselors who are going to target support to students, put in the hands of partners like Austin Partners in Education that are working already on career conversations, college readiness support for students. Take that into account as we're providing direct support on financial assistance. Think about the impact, even if, and Susan hit this earlier on capacity to afford college. The Chamber runs a massive regional effort that includes marketing, text messaging, digital media, mobilizes about 300 volunteers annually to provide one-on-one assistance in English and Spanish across schools in our community. We do over 50 events to help connect students with scholarships, grants, work study, and other aid to fund post-secondary enrollment. We know that 80% of the students that we help with that transition on to college. And you mix that with the college readiness support that Austin Partners in Education are providing, that the districts are providing, and you actually have 2/3 of those students who complete the FAFSA and make it out of high school college ready, actually complete their degree. So it has tremendous impact, and it's even going to be more relevant as many families have lost their employment, means to pay for post-secondary. We're also working with the districts to do some summer transition support. So we started this a few years back, working with UT and Harvard researchers to target support to students around enrollment process barriers. These are things that first-generation students with no post-secondary access or no prior post-secondary experience in their families to help them navigate these process barriers. So think about everything you have to do once you've been accepted, once you're ready, once you've gone and filed your aid. Think about everything you have to do to actually show up and make it on a college campus. And so that our counselors are taking this information, providing that direct support. The other thing that we're doing is we're expanding that support to include career guidance and advising. So we launched a new talent ambassador program as part of our direct to work campaign that's taking employers and connecting them to schools. My colleague Quilan Teo is doing a great job of this. And then we also have a partnership with Workforce Solution, where this program, along with some other employer connections on the campuses, are actually providing guidance to the career navigators to bring employers onto campus, have them talk to students about careers, be mentors, be advisors in this process as students are navigating the college and career process and transition for many of these juniors and seniors that are about to transition. Employers like IBM, Ascension, Seton, ABOR, and others are working with Austin ISD on the new career launch program. This is dual credit programming, connecting students with industry certifications, allowing them to graduate with credentials right out of high school, making them employable, connecting them to internship and apprenticeship opportunities. And this is part of the partnership as well with Workforce Solutions, where they've placed many of their career navigators. So we're excited about the Make It movement. We're excited to collaborate with Workforce Solutions, with you, Roy, on shaping this out. And you said it earlier, what starts here can change the world. And I really do believe that Make It has that magic quality. If we can get this right in our community, if we can get it right in Austin, we can get it right in Texas and take it national.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. And a couple of comments, and I'm going to go back to Susan. I hope is that one of the things you all are talking about, and I have to reinforce this, the infrastructure to make it is in place. What we need is the marketing, the messaging and all students are different. There's going to be a different message to do, and y'all can help us create those messages. Also, we've got to motivate parents to oh no, you can't, you got to go to this, you got to go. No, find a kid's talent. If they can find that talent and that passion when you're 9, 10, 12, 13, whatever it is, so that they don't feel like they're, I've told you that story. I turned in a paper in the 8th grade in Brownwood, Texas. I still have the blue button there. And it was on Emerson, and I had 8 misspelled words. 8th grade, huge C-. My mom was a civics teacher, God rest her soul. C's weren't like celebrated at my house. Good job, Roy, for that C. Next year, I'm studying Emerson again in the 9th grade. I have a different teacher. I said, Mama, I can't turn this in. I'm gonna make it. She said, do it. I turned it in. I got it back. I didn't have Gilbert 8 misspelled words. I had 11. The whole paper was red. And at the top, it was a tiny A minus. And I was in my little kitchen table with my sister and my mom. I said, Mom, I don't get it. And she said, well, Roy, you can't spell. But I talked to the teacher and she thinks you can write. And at 14 years old, Mayor, I told you the story, sitting in the backyard one night, my mom said, Roy, I don't want you to spend another second trying to be average at what you're bad at. I want you to spend the rest of your life trying to be great at what you're good at. Now, if it's a character issue, that's different. But part of what we're talking about with the Make It, you can make it. You got to get parents to understand all you want for your kids is them to be happy and successful. And what you're going to do here, all we're going to do is the marketing to change perception and behavior, because y'all have got the infrastructure on the ground. By the way, we are starting in Central Texas, and then we're going to go Texas-wide, and then we're going to the nation. So, Gilbert, thank y'all for everything that y'all are doing. So, Susan, are you back?
You know, it's so exciting that I had to run out and make it myself.
I know it. Did you make
I
coffee?
am back now. So I appreciate joining you all to talk just a little more about the Make It movement. And what you're saying, Roy, is perfect, because it's exactly what our community wants and needs. So knowing that you have to have some post-secondary credential to have almost any chance at a living wage job, and knowing that we wanted to hear what those barriers were and what are the reasons that numbers are not rising when they should be, we spent hundreds and hundreds of hours in 2019 with our partners, school districts across the region, institutions of higher education, community nonprofits, the chamber, work, others, and brought together a broad swath of our community, students, families, church leaders, community members, educators, hundreds of people from all across the region, down in San Marcos, over in Pflugerville, Westlake, East Austin, north, south, east, west. And we spent multiple nights working with our community saying, what are the barriers to some sort of successful pathway beyond high school? How do we understand those? How do we work together to help address those? And what our community told us was that they had 3 priorities. First, they wanted this messaging campaign. They wanted a common understanding, a way to build understanding, to raise the awareness that we really do as a community need a pathway to some post-secondary credential for every student and adult out there. And second is a critical part of it, but we needed to go one step further and connect them to the right resources to help understand what are the career opportunities that can meet my passion? What are the skills that I need to get there? Where can I find those skills? What are the community-based programs? What are the community college offerings? What are the industries? What are the degrees that will get me there? And how do I get there? How do I fill out my FAFSA? How do I look at what scholarships are available? How do I apply? What do I need to do? And so putting those together, the messaging, the understanding, the culture building, with the connecting to the resources that students and families need to make it, is what we're doing in this movement. And Workforce Solutions will be playing a critical role, because they're going to be the first part of the access hub of helping people who come in saying, I want to move, I want to take the next step to that successful career, to understand how to do that. United Way 211 is also at the table. They will help me supporting families who want to understand, where are the resources, where are the programs, what are the community-based nonprofits who can help me, how do I sign up for my school? So fulfilling these priorities of our community will be a community response. All of us have to be there together to create these pathways beyond high school to a post-secondary credential with value in the marketplace, and make it available to everyone. So again, as you think about that 12% number, that that's your likelihood of having a living wage job if you don't have a post-secondary credential, how do we come together to make it an opportunity for everyone? And the last thing I want to say before I turn it back over to the mayor is that just as our community, our state, our country will look different coming out of this crisis, and we need to address all of our community equitably in being able to access those opportunities, our education systems are going to look different also. It's true that more work will be online. There's no question that that's the case. But it's also true that there's going to be more competency-based learning. You're going to see less about sitting for a single semester in a single class and more about how do we measure the competencies and skills that are needed to be successful in a career. It's going to be more about delivering learning in multiple different ways, in blended fashions, where it's some online and some in person and some groups and some being coached by an individual community member. And all of these different methods are going to have to come together. It's going to be more and more blurred. As Gilbert was talking about, we're getting credentials in high school. We're seeing students for a university and a community college at the same time. We're seeing adults return for different competencies before they go back to work. All of these different methods are going to start to become more and more pervasive as education systems change to be able to offer our students what they need to make it in their. Mayor Adler, I don't see you on, but we wanted you to come back and talk specifically about
Yes, I think the mayor had to do some mayor stuff.
Oh, no.
I'm thrilled that he was able to be with us, this long because he's got stuff. But Susan, I got to tell you, thank you, ma'am. You don't just have your head in the game, you're in the arena. You're in the arena every day, along with so many people who are not waiting for the future to happen, but to create the future, even with this virus. We know we're going to come out of this, and we know that at some moment there's going to be something good or so. One of the things I keep talking about, and Susan's a champion, so is Gil. Back when I grew up, before y'all were born, whatever, there was a guy named Marshall McLuhan. Marshall McLuhan came up with the idea that the medium is the message. That was just the birthplace of television. I think the medium is mentoring. Coming out of this thing, if the medium of the internet and all of that, we could have the largest mentoring force in America to help young people, because we know right now the University of Purdue did a survey with Gallup, and I'll stop here, of postgraduates from any college, whether it's Harvard or University of Texas or Howard Payne, 30,000. And they asked them, are you thriving or are you just surviving? The great majority were not thriving. But the ones that were thriving, they said, what did you get in college that made a difference in your life? They said three things. One professor who cared, a mentor who could talk to me about my life, not just about college, and working on a project with students for a year. My point is, you look at that same thing in high schools and middle schools. If we had this massive mentoring coaching, I think the upside is my life's dream would be have every kid have a coach. And at some point, you might find your dream when you're 9 years old, or you might find your purpose when you're 17. That you're not being beat up and pounded down. You're trying to find people's talent and lift them up. I know we got a lot of work to do there, but I'm so inspired by all of you on that. So, closing here, we're going to open up for questions, and again, thank the mayor. I'm going to call on a couple of people to jump in here. The first one I'm going to call on is a guy named Dr. Richard Rhodes, who is the head of Austin Community College, who I got to be best friends with about 3 years ago. And he was my mentor in helping shape the Make It movement. He was the first one to commit, he at Austin Community College, to say we're in. And so, Dr. Rhodes, I think you're on the line out there, and thank you, Pam, for helping here. I guess we all know it's trite to say the world has changed radically. It's changed beyond radically. But what is the impact of this change on day-by-day activities at Austin Community College and the environment there? Could you talk to us about that, Dr. Rhodes, and Godspeed for all the things you're doing?
Sure. Hopefully you can hear me.
Yes.
But, let me just start off and say Austin Community College is for everyone. That's become our tagline. We've spent a lot of time focusing specifically on safety and security and how that can help lead to student success. But, this time in history for us is a time of grace, that it's a time where passion plus patience plus compassion with a direct resolve for perseverance is going to lead us through this. But as Susan and as you have talked about, partnerships and collaboration are just the most important thing that we can look at today. Because we're training healthcare providers, first responders, IT technicians, manufacturing technicians, welders, auto trades, construction management, bioscience, and those that want to transfer to a university for a four-year degree. All of that. One of the things that's critical during this time, though, is to partner up with different entities, whether it's Workforce Solutions or the United Way, our K-12 partners, 26 different K-12 institutions that we serve and work with, or the university partners, but all coming together to deal with this with our nonprofit organizations, also to deal with it as a community coming together is so critical in this day and age. One of the things that I was walking this morning and ran into one of my neighbors, and I knew that the neighbor's daughter is attending Austin Community College right now. So I asked her, and we had our social distancing, but I asked her, I said, so how's your daughter doing? And she said, it's amazing. She's doing very well. She's, the faculty members have just shown a complete grace that the virtual advising, the advisors can't meet face to face, but the virtual advising has just been phenomenal. And so, during this period of time, we're going to come out of this different institutions, different businesses than how we entered COVID. But it's changing the dynamics, it's changing the way that we deliver education, and we're learning great new lessons as we move through this. I had no idea, Roy, that when I asked you to be our commencement speaker a few years ago, that soon you would be telling me, make it. And so we're working on that, I'm trying to live up to your dream. So we appreciate the opportunity to be with us today.
Richard, first of all, you and your wife and your whole staff, I've been blessed over the last 3 years to become partners in purpose with your whole movement. And I think, once again, what we're looking for, I've always believed that if America can get back to this idea that no one's too good and everybody's good enough, that grace, no one's too good and everybody's good enough. This country was built differently, not perfect, but it basically said if you're willing to take responsibility and work hard, every person should have the chance to live up to his or her God-given potential. This is what's going to come back of this. And I go back to what you said, and Susan, this is the age of mentoring. This can be the age of coaching. This could be the age. We don't have enough school counselors. But boy, if you use the internet and you vet them and all of this stuff, I talked to many school counselors. They want to counsel again. They're masters at it. So you are at the epicenter of change. So I appreciate you so much, man.
Thank you.
I got a new friend, Chancellor Mike Reeser. Now this guy's a pistol. I like him a lot. I didn't know anything about the Texas, Texas State Technical College until I got to go down with our great friend Lorraine from the Builders Association and Ann Bruno, and we drove to Waco, Texas about 2 months ago before all this started. built in 19, I think 65, and they've got 10 campuses now. And the thing that struck me when Mike and his team, I was so impressed that they don't get paid unless they find the graduate a job, unless they get employed. This is about really teaching, training, mentoring, skilling up. And I just wanted to say, first of all, Mike Chancellor, I'm grateful for you and your team. And secondly, the COVID virus did something. What did y'all do anything immediately to do something to help those folks that need immediate help to get back on their feet again? I didn't ask that right, but have y'all done something new and different and immediate that has been making a positive difference?
Hey, Roy, thanks for letting me join you today. This has been wonderful so far, and I'm honored to participate. Yes, the answer is yes, we have. You know, this confluence of COVID and oil prices and the threat of a recession have brought us to the point where what folks need right now in the form of a post-secondary credential is speed. They can't afford to take 2 years or more to get their credential because they need a job now. So what we've done in the weeks that we were paused is we began to develop quickly more than 24 different credentials that we're going to launch in August. They come in 2 sizes, a 7-week credential and a 15-week credential. And they come in 2 versions, wholly online or a hybrid in which you do labs on a TSTC campus in a sort of National Guard form where you come when you can. Now, these are going to cover, now, the cool part about these fast credentials is that they're industry validated. We went straight to the employers who tend to hire our graduates and we asked this key question. If we were to give somebody the real essence of the skills you need, what would those be? And we built these credentials around those. So they're going to cover areas like cybersecurity, cloud computing, all kinds of IT, health information. Then over on the hard industrial side, automation, robotics, biomedical, even some mechatronics and machining, process ops. The employers have told us if you'll train these skills, those are the people we'll hire, and so we've invented those.
Wow.
We launch them in August. The cost isn't set yet, but they're going to be highly affordable. Plus, we're lining up grants and scholarships now. So they're fast, affordable, they're industry validated, and best of all, they stack with the rest of college. So the kids have got a fast start toward a bigger credential if they so wish. So speed is what we focused on, Roy.
Well, sir, I can only thank you for that, because I think that speed and certification, the fact that you can get there faster, better, and also the idea that there's an immediate issue. One of the things we found out when we did Don't Mess with Texas, by the way, the more we could report on success, by the way, we reduced litter through marketing by 70%. And every time we would report that, oh, littering down another 25%. What we found that reporting winning fast, people said, oh my gosh, I think we're a bunch of losers. We're not doing, oh, we're winning, we're winning. So that the idea of speed and people are winning and focusing on this kid or this young adult is so important. So I admire what y'all are doing, and I appreciate you joining us today. And Mike and of course Richard are all part of the Make It movement. They've been great supporters of ours. So Godspeed, sir. Okay, one other person is Greg Shapiro, and I don't know if I've met you, but I know about you. You're pretty awesome. Uh, all the things you're doing, with AISD and what you're trying to get, your efforts to get employers and workforce solutions and E3 and the chamber and all these coalition building things that Gilbert and Susan talk about to, helping the career launch and partnering together. I'm just curious. I think Gilbert's talked to you a little bit about the Make It movement, but how do those efforts, how could we help you? And what could you do to maybe be a partner in purpose with us, my friend? Thank you.
Good to be with you, and I appreciate this great conversation that we're having today because I think it is the future of education. If you think about it, our educational system was built 130 years ago for a different purpose. It was to prepare factory workers. And to this day, the ideals that we measure in school are based on sitting for long periods of time, doing repetitive, tedious work, following orders and directions. And now we're shifting. Our work is very different, but our educational system is still stuck. And so we saw this years ago in New York, in Brooklyn, with the original P-Tech school sponsored by IBM. And we came back from that visit and inspired and saying that is the future of education. Imagine a student earns a high school degree, a credential, an associate's degree, has a mentor from 4 to 6 years, and a guaranteed job interview at the end of the process. And that is actually happening currently in Austin ISD, and we will have 17 of these programs open and operating by the year 2021. Currently, we have IBM, Seton, Ascension, Austin Board of Realtors, Hilton. Even AISD is using this kind of a system to train its new teachers with Texas Tech and ACC. Trio Electric is coming to the schools. So what you're looking, and many more partners coming on board shortly, but what you're looking at is a group of students who are, we're saying is that we have a group of students out there who don't see the why they need to go to school. In fact, they know all the reasons why they don't want to go to school. And we need to give them the carrot and not just say the following, which we kind of do all the time. Well, when in the future, when you are ready and prepared, you'll find out why you need to learn this stuff. The kids need to see it now. And by providing those workplace experiences, by providing the why they're learning geometry and algebra 2 and how to write well and how to express yourself well, those are the skills of the 21st century, which you've described and everyone has. And so this program is designed to reshape the way we look at education and the goals and aspirations. You asked a question of what we can do. I think there are two things slowing us. We need, one, more partners and more programs and converting our career and tech programs to this CTE model. But two, I think you said it, Mr. Spence, before, and I think this is the truth. We have a mind block on what it means to be educated and what it means to be a worker in this society. And I'm going to say something a little controversial. I think we've devalued work. The sense that some work is better than others, that we only have certain areas that we can go into and you're deemed successful. Meanwhile, all of those professions that we've said that are less than or not as exciting are the ones we're completely depending on now for all of what we're dealing with. So we have created programs for computer science. We've created programs for health careers, teaching, real estate, all the things that Austin needs to do to build its core so that our students not only can live here, they can thrive here and stay in our great city so that for future generations, we're building and growing our own. So that is really sending the message out to families that this is not just an option, this is the future that we're asking